You're listening to The Margins, where we explore obsessions, the supernormal, and oddly shaped ideas. In this episode, a would-be bridegroom has a disturbing precognitive vision that changes his future because he can see it. And now, Jilted Blue Silk Dress.
April 4th, 1888. Your letter to the Telegraph of March 27th brought to my memory an incident that occurred to me some years since. In fact, in 1866. I might preface my statement by saying that I am not in the least superstitious. For some years previous to 1866, I had been residing in B as an agent for a large firm in London. Soon after my arrival in B, I took apartments in the suburbs in a house kept by two sisters, one a maiden lady, the other a widow with two daughters. To make a long story short, I fell in love with the youngest daughter, proposed and was accepted, although her mother always was very much opposed to it. Time passed on, and I heard of a much better appointment. I threw up the one I had and came to London to secure the other, without telling anyone in B anything about it. I had been in London about 5 weeks when, one Sunday evening, feeling irritable and dull, I retired to rest, much earlier than usual. I had been in bed some time trying to court sleep, when suddenly, at one end of the room, there appeared two figures, and as they developed, one was my fiancé, the other, the man whom I had always looked on as my greatest friend and chum in B. There was the room, my room, the fireplace, and every particular true to the original, and the attitude of the two, he holding her hand, and her troubled look left no doubt in my mind that he was proposing to her. No sooner had I grasped the circumstances of the case than the vision melted and was gone. Now comes what I consider the remarkable part. On the following Tuesday, I had a letter from the young lady's brother, informing me that her mother had prevailed on her to break off her engagement with me, and one from the young lady herself returning all my presents, and stating that her mother had forbidden her to correspond with me further. And in less than a month, I heard from a mutual friend in B that the young lady was engaged to the man I had seen in the vision. Being rather a sore point at the time, I never mentioned the vision to any of my friends or relatives at the time, feeling convinced that they would say it was a dream. But I know that I was as wide awake at the time as I am now, and while it lasted, I had the sensation of being entranced, utterly unable to move, but no fright or unpleasant feeling. I can only compare it to a dissolving view, such as you see sometimes produced by a magic lantern. I long imagined that I had a rival in the field, but never suspected my particular chum for a moment. After it had passed away, the vision, I tried to consider what it could be, and came to the conclusion that it was animal magnetism, a subject that had created some stir in the papers and magazines some time previously. I give you the account for what it is worth. It has always been a riddle to me, for which I have never been able to find the solution. Signed, J.H.S.
After a personal interview with Mr. S., Mr. G.A. Smith writes, April 19th, 1888. I saw Mr. S. today. Whatever his impression may have been, waking or sleeping, there is no doubt that it was more vivid than any other subjective sensation he has ever had. He says he never dreams that he knows of. At least, he forgets them immediately upon waking. But he recovered himself from this experience with a distinct feeling that he had encountered something different from a dream. He brought away a more vivid recollection of the scene, of the attitude, dress, and expressions of the persona seen than he had ever done from any dream, and he was struck at the time with the curious condition of feeling present in the B room as a spectator, and yet having a sort of side knowledge that he was in his own bed. And when the thing was over, he had no recognizable sensation of having just woke. He could realize no break of consciousness whatsoever. He hadn't the faintest ground for suspicion that his friend would supplant him, and felt perfectly assured of the young lady's devotion to himself. He says he never remembers meeting with any similar cases, and he seems to have no tendency towards the marvelous. Quite the contrary. But he has always held the view that the couple were really engaged as he saw them in the vision on that Sunday evening, and that their minds, both stirred with the idea of the injustice being done to him at the moment, might somehow have acted upon him so as to call up the vision to his view. Moreover, the hour and evening, 10 o'clock Sunday, would be just the occasion most likely for such an interview in B. The room, too, was the most probable one for it to have really occurred in. A point not mentioned in his letter is that he noticed exactly how the lady was attired in the vision, and he observed particularly that she wore a blue silk dress that was unfamiliar to him. A few weeks later, on a brief stay in B, finally settling his affairs in that town, he passed the lady in the street when she was wearing a blue silk dress. Signed, J.H.S. Smith.
You've been listening to Jilted Blue Silk Dress on The Margins, where we explore obsessions, the supernormal, and oddly shaped ideas. Music by Hypatia. Produced by Francesca Robin. Audio engineering by Tim Barron of Tim Barron Video. Head over to laquescencemedia.com for show notes and subscribe to our newsletter for more oddly shaped ideas. This program is completely supported by fans like you. Drop us a tip to help keep the lights on. Links at the website. Thanks for your support and keep listening.